Oh howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today is day 2 of patch 3.24 teaser season for the upcoming Necropolis expansion. Today I wanted to update something that was the main story of yesterday, and that is that some of the corner cases where the quality of life changes around divine vessels could be detrimental, these have all been addressed, and now if it turns out that your character no longer wants a Pantheon upgrade that you've already acquired in the past, you'll be able to simply turn it off. So you'll want to remember to turn it back on if you swap over to another character, but this is an improvement in every way on the status quo for 3.23, rather than what was announced yesterday, which was mostly an upgrade, but an upgrade that had a couple of downsides to it as well. All fixed, and now it is a strict upgrade on what it was. The second quality of life change that's been announced for 3.24 is something that I think a fair number of people will not care about because you play in solo self-found, but for those of you like me that play in Trade League, you're going to be able to shift, control, click stackable items, things like Chaos Orbs, Divine Orbs, and Val Orbs, in order to move them en masse from your inventory into a trade window. Now, as I see it, this is a modest improvement over the status quo as it is, but it becomes a really big one if it's also something that you can do when interacting with a stash tab, rather than interacting with a trade window. For example, if you gain the ability to shift, control, left click a Chaos Orb from your stash tab, and then that moved all of the Chaos Orbs that were in that stash into your inventory, at least up to the limit of what fit, I think that would be an even better situation than what we've got here, but what we've got here is still better than the 3.23 status quo. Another important thing about this change is that it decreases the edge that bot cheaters have over legitimate players in Path of Exile, and that's something that's always welcome. Finally, there's an announcement of an interview you're probably going to watch that's going to be occurring when this video is about 16 to 17 hours old. That is going to be when Jonathan Rogers of Path of Exile 2 is going to be interviewed by Preach Gaming. Preach is a streamer who was initially famous for streaming World of Warcraft, but then branched out into a number of other games, and he's someone who's really insightful. He has played Path of Exile 1 a fair way into endgame, but hasn't necessarily gone as far as most endgame players have, and that can mean he has a fairly refreshing perspective. But on top of that, he's also someone who is just really good at breaking down the consequences of various game systems. So if you're interested in watching that, that's going to be at 1:30 PM in the US PDT time zone. Or of course, if you're in a different time zone like I am over in GMT plus 11 in Australia, then the Grinding Gear Games official website, which I will put a link to down below. So for me, no rest for the wicked. I've got to get up at 7:30 tomorrow morning to watch this, but for you, hopefully it is at a more pleasant time. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Told you this would be a short one, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get a couple of new items or something that we can really dig our teeth into theory crafting around with. But whether it's minor quality of life changes or new items or new build options or whatever it is that was announced tomorrow, I'll put up a video around it. May your Val Orbs have interesting results.